प्रभु तव मूर्ति विनोदकारी, पलपन विसरे नहीं जो विसारी। जुगल चरण सोल चिन्ह जेह, नजर समीपे रहो हमारी एह। नजर समीपे रहो हमारी एह। ठाकुर जी महाराज ની જય, ઘનશ્યામ महाराज ની જય, स्वामीनारायण भगवान ની જય। Wala Wala Shri, our Thakurji Maharaj, our utmost dear Pyuda Maharaj, our divine Guru Parampara, our Puja Guruji, and all of you Santos and Bhaktos, Jai Swaminarayan. There's many factors in our life that are seen and that are not seen. More so, some factors are invisible. Things that we cannot see, things that we do not see on a regular basis, but have a very great impact in our life. In this presentation, the title is The Invisible Factor. But what is that factor? Why is it important in our life? What makes this factor different? And how will it affect our life? Is very important. Nonetheless, when we are in our day-to-day life, our regular habitat, these factors are something that affects our life in a very great standpoint that we would like to look at. But before we get into that very factor that affects our life in an invisible way, what is this very factor? We want to know. And for that, invisible factors in our daily life. What is an invisible factor? Something or someone that affects your life which is not visible to the naked eye. Now, sometimes, as a householder or as a regular citizen of, society, there's many things that affect our life that we can see. For example, if we get into an accident, then it may cause physical injuries. That is something that's a factor that affects our life very much. Nonetheless, there is other factors that are not even seen, that occur in our mind, that occur in our body, our state of body, that affects how we behave, how we go about our day. People, objects, environments, so on and so forth. There's many things around us that affect our mental status. The way we speak, behave, go about our day is dependent on invisible factors. So you're probably wondering, what is this invisible factor? What, how does it affect my life? Well, let's take a look. So, invisible factors the invisible factor we want to discuss about today is the factor or the power of concentration. Concentration, the definition according to the dictionary is the action or power of focusing one's attention or mental effort. Now, this is a very important word for those who are students. Nonetheless, for those who have jobs, if they have difficulties concentrating, then this is definitely a presentation that they can look into. And if they look into this very factor, then they'll be able to concentrate more on their work without any kind of distractions and move about their life in a very easy and simple way. Why is concentration so important? Well, concentration allows you to better use your resources and approach problems more efficiently. When you're concentrating, it is less likely that you will miss important information. Staying focused helps you memorize things more easily. Now, off of this, as a student or as a person who works, it can be in any field. It can be in the field of, medicine. It can be in the field of IT. It can be in the field of networking. It can be in the field of pharmacy. It can be in the field of any occupation, or it can be used as high schoolers, college students, students in general. But this factor is used in each and every person's day-to-day life. May one be a householder, or may one be a saint. May one be a male, or may one be a female. It doesn't matter. But concentration is needed by each and every person in their life. So we would like to know, what is that invisible factor that affects your concentration? Number 1, goal, interest, discipline, and thirst for knowledge. Now, all these 4 factors, as a human being, one is revolved around these 4. Goal. Each and every human has a short-term goal and a long-term goal. As before explained, short-term goals are, I do not want to eat candy this week. It's only a temporary basis. Long-term goal is, I want to read the Vachanamrut 5 times in this year of 2023. That's a long-term goal. Or I would like to become a doctor, which is an 8-year process. So that can also be considered as a goal. Now, no matter if it's a short-term goal, not eating candy for 1 week, or a long-term goal, 8 years of becoming a doctor, one still needs this factor of concentration. That is definite. Discipline. Discipline in life is very important, where each and every person judges you off of how disciplined you are. How you sit, how you talk with someone, how you behave, how you interact, how you go about your day in your work, how you talk with your work peers, how you treat them. All that is off of discipline, and if you do not have concentration, it's very difficult to do so. Interests. I'm interested in serving the community. I'm interested in keeping my car very, very clean. I'm interested in various hobbies, playing sports, keeping my body fit. All these also require concentration. And finally, thirst for knowledge. May it be in the spiritual world, or may it be in regular worldly life, academics, learning, science, English, social studies, so on and so forth. If you do not have the thirst for knowledge, if you do not want to gain more knowledge, it is not possible without this one factor of concentration. Only if you have concentration, you'll be able to have more thirst to gain more knowledge. So for that, there is one invisible factor. We're not there yet. We talked about concentration and how we can keep it, how we should keep it, but what is the invisible factor of keeping concentration? Now, when I present this to you, it's going to probably sound very, very weird, or maybe a little funny, or you might not believe it at first, but this is the most important factor in concentration, keeping a very, very focused mind, and also living a very, very healthy lifestyle. What is that? Let's take a look. Yes, it is the foods that we eat. The foods that we eat. You see there's dosa, that's South Indian. Idli, that's also South Indian. Then you got the khaman and the samosa, which is Gujarati. So both of these bhaktos are here. I don't know, Maharajit setting kariyo, I don't know. But foods affect our concentration the most. And we want to take a look how. So let's get right into it. Okay, mind, mood, interest, and concentration. Whatever we eat, these 4 are affected. Our mind is affected, our mood, Sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're sad, sometimes we're depressed, sometimes we're very, very ecstatic, sometimes enthusiastic, sometimes very, very lazy. All these all depend on food. Interest. I am interested right now in reading the Vachanamrut, and 1 hour later, I'm interested in going to watch a movie. That all depends on this very factor of food. And the most important is concentration. If we want to concentrate on our life goals, our work, our school, anything, then food is a very, very important factor. This presentation is not only for young kids or academic students, but also for those who have jobs and work in the world. So let's take a look. Okay, according to Harvard University Medical School, there is a connection between the brain and the stomach, okay? You see over there, the brain is up there, the stomach is down there. In the same way, the mind is obviously the brain and the body is the stomach. It's a connection which goes hand in hand. Whatever you eat, it goes down in the stomach, but also affects the mind automatically. Sometimes we believe that if I read this, then my mind is affected. If I gain knowledge, my mind is affected. But in reality, it's something difficult. Right now, my challenge is to stay concentrated and get this katha finished as fast as possible. And so that is a challenge for me, that I am being challenged. But if I've ate something that is okay, then my concentration will stay and I will not be distracted by outside factors. So let's take a look. Harvard University, what do they have to say? Now, medical school in Harvard researched, and they said that the brain has a direct effect on the stomach and the intestines. For example, the very thought of eating can release the stomach's juices before food gets there. This connection goes both ways. A troubled intestine can send signals to the brain, just as a troubled brain can send signals to the gut. So they are both connected, okay? Therefore, a person's stomach or intestinal distress can be caused or the product of anxiety, stress, or depression. That's because the brain and the GI system are intimately connected. Now, in this whole science, I can say, all it's saying is that suppose you want to eat something very, very tasty. Obviously, when you look at it, your brain is signaling, oh, this is nice. So automatically, the gut or the stomach releases these juices that make you hungry, that you want it. Automatically, again, your stomach says, I'm hungry, so it sends a signal back to your brain saying that, okay, let's buy it, or let's get it, or let's eat it. So there's a hand-in-hand connection according to science. But let's see what the Hindu scriptures have to say. Next, please. Okay. Sometimes what we think is the more we eat, the more energy we gain. No, that's just wrong. It's a wrong equation. Sometimes if we have the capacity of eating, 3 rodlis, for example, or 3 dosas, I guess, and we eat 12 of them, that's not good. We think that we'll gain more energy, but in reality, that's not how it works, according to the Hindu scriptures, okay? Let's take a look. So, the right equation is more food equals more lethargy, laziness. I'm sure most of you know all this, that if I eat a lot, I become lazy. If someone in my family tells me to vacuum in the house, it's not possible, but I can definitely come to the mandir and vacuum, yes? Because mandir is mandir and house is house. But maybe it's because 2 more or 3 more idlis have been intaken. Due to that, laziness is an effective process. But moderate food, according to Sadhguru Goparn Swami, Swami says to divide your stomach into 4 parts, 25%, 25, 25, and 25. You eat 50%, leave 25% empty, and put 25% of water inside. This is called moderate eating. You get more energy this way, but people do not realize this. People think that if they eat more, they'll become more energetic. But this is not the cause. So let's move on. More food. Eating food much more than hunger. After eating, stomach stretches, feeling not to do anything than sleeping. So all these things are a factor in eating more food. So obviously stomach stretches out, your belly, you look very, very fat. Nonetheless, you feel like sleeping. This is all due to intaking more food. But let's take a look next. Okay, so here's a chart here. More food versus moderate food. What happens? So if you eat more food, it breaks the concentration. You cannot focus on anything. Your mind is distracted. Moderate food improves the concentration. Second, lose the control over the senses and mind. More food does this. On the other hand, helps you control the senses and mind. Third, causes illness and diseases. We have seen this. People who eat more food, a lot of food, even outside food, are tended to get more diseases and illnesses compared to those who eat moderate food and make their food at home. They stay healthy and fit. Nonetheless, increases fat in the body. Now sometimes, it's God-given that we eat little and a lot of fat is produced, but those cases are very rare. Usually we do this to ourselves. When we eat a lot, automatically our body gains. Nonetheless, moderate food burns the unnecessary fat. Finally, increases sleep and lethargy. Of course, eating a lot of food makes you sleepy. That's just a given. And we all know how much we sleep after we eat. So if we eat only in moderate terms, then our activeness will remain and our energy will remain. We will feel like doing more in the day instead of just sitting around on the couch all day. And finally, causes break of celibacy, of course, and moderate food helps us control celibacy. That's the final factor. Next, please. Okay, so here's how the Hinduism, philosophy works, and this is in all humans. Okay, there's 3 attributes of Maya: Rajogun, Tamogun, and Sattvagun. Okay, what is Rajogun? Rajogun is desires to eat tasty foods, desires to engage in the worldly pleasures, desires to buy cars and buy nice clothing and etc., so on and so forth. What is Tamogun? Tamogun is darkness. Tamogun is anger. Tamogun is ego. And what is Sattvagun? Sattvagun is purity. You feel like doing seva, service, you feel like worshiping God, you have a peace of mind. All these 3 states are automatically, one by one, switching turns in our mind. This is a state of mind, okay? And sometimes we feel peace, and in just 10 minutes, we feel tamogun, we feel anger coming upon us. After another half an hour, we feel like eating the tastiest food. So it's a cycle that is ongoing, constantly going and going and going, because Bhagwan has put into each and every human's body these 3 attributes because they are of Maya. Next. So now let's take a look. What happens to what? Satvic food or satvic mood is satvic food. So what is satvic? Obviously good. We'll take a look at what they are, but Rajas mood is Rajas food and Tamas mood is Tamas food. Okay? Now let's take a look at the factors one by one. Okay, here we go. So we took a look at, I shortly gave you a meaning, but I want to give you in-depth meaning. Satvic mood meaning goodness, happiness, knowledge and awareness, clarity and calmness, concentration and focus, and positive emotions. This is the best. If we wanted to rate 1, 2, and 3, this would be number 1. The whole goal of spirituality is to stay in this state or this mood as much as you can. you want to stay in this mood as much as you can and worship God, because it's the easiest. It's like a highway, okay? Second one, number 2 ranked, is Rajas mood, which is passion for pleasures, lust, greed, anger, envy, sensual impulsiveness, attractions and distractions, and indulging emotions. This is number 2. While we're going through these moods, you should rate which one is most predominant to you. So if you're most sattvagun, then that's number 1 for you. Then maybe you're tamas, then that's number 2. And rajas, it's number 3. So you should check inside of yourself which one you have the most, which one you have the second most, and which one you have the third. And finally, tamas mood, sleep and laziness, ignorance and illusion, blackness in mind, violence and cruelty, and negative emotions. This is the worst. This is number 3. You do not want to be in this position at all. This is the worst of the worst situation. So if you think about it, Bhagwan wants us to stay in the satvic mood. But sometimes we get affected by the rajas and tamas moods. But once we realize we are in these moods, we should come back and go into the satvic mood. So automatically, our mind becomes fresh and we can worship God without any kind of distractions or any kind of other obstacles. So let's take a look. What and how can satvic mood affect the satvic food? So fruits and vegetables. People do not like eating this. Let's face it. This is a very, very straight factor. No one likes eating fruits and vegetables and grains and pulses and prepared with purity and piousness, offered to God and in moderate quantity. This is completely opposite for us. We do not like this. We've never liked this. Let's face it, okay? But it's a challenge. To eat this kind of food, you must have a goal that you want to stay in the satvic mood. Only if you have a goal that I want to stay in this kind of mood, then you'll be able to eat these kinds of foods such as fruits and vegetables, which rarely people take, grains and pulses, give me a break, offered to God. Yes, we do that. Purity and piousness, that's also important. If you eat homemade food, that does count as purity and piousness. And in moderate quantity, let's forget about it. Yeah, when we sit, we completely just gorge. It's just a factor. This is not anything that's we don't have to really think about, oh, I'm gonna eat 50% today. No, it's 100% every single day. 100%. So the opposite is, obviously you can see what happens when you eat satvic food. Your mood becomes satvic in these ways. Next, please, let's take a look at the rajas mood. Foods like what? Hotel foods and roadside foods, of course. Your Taco Bell, your Pizza Hut, when you go to India, your nice Pani Puri laris. All these are effective factors. Junk food and cold food, your Cheetos, your Lays, your Doritos, your pretzels. Cold foods as Sprite, ginger ale, Crush, Fanta, so on and so forth. All this is rajas. Spicy foods and chili foods, of course. Spicy foods such as spicy French fries, spicy Indian namkins. It can be anything. It can be fafri, spicy fafri. It can be spicy chordo. It can be anything and anything. And chili foods, of course. Too cold ice cream, of course. Cool Whip ice cream. That's the very chilly food. Nonetheless, popsicles, so on and so forth. Chocolate, biscuits, and cookies, of course. That's something that's always in that rajas mood. Chocolates, biscuits, and cookies, and any food with more quantity. Of course, when you eat a piece of chocolate, you're just not going to stop at 1. You want to eat 2, 3, 4, according to your capacity in both mind and in body. Yes. So all these affect your mood, and you become more passion for pleasures, lust, greed, anger, envy increases. All these things happen. So if you want to stay in the rajas mood, then yes, eat these kinds of foods. But remember, if you serve Bhagwan these foods, I'm not talking about hotel foods or roadside foods, but some of these foods that are homemade, then yes, they do become satvic if you take in moderate quantities, okay? Very clear on that. Last but not least, the worst of the worst foods, okay? Tamas foods. Let's see what they are. Non-veg, fishes, eggs, of course, onion, garlic, and stale food, prepared without purity and involving cruelty, all intoxicating substances, excessive quantity, of course. Obviously, as Swaminarayan Haribhaktos, none of these are even, none of these even come close to our description or our characteristic. But one has to be careful sometimes with that second one and that third one, onion, garlic. Packages, foods that have chips, sometimes in the back we don't read it, it has onion and garlic. That will also cause the tamas mood to occur. Nonetheless, sometimes due to pressure, we may eat impure food that is not prepared by a pure person. People who may be doing the wrong things, may not wash hands, maybe even alcoholics or drug addicts prepare our foods and then we eat it. That can also cause a very, very high state of tamogun or tamas mood to occur in our mind. Very, very dangerous for especially devotees of God, but nonetheless humans in general. Remember, if you want to increase your concentration, stay away from tamas foods and rajas foods. Always eat satvic foods. Next, please. Realize the destructive consequences. Now, this is the ending slide, but we want to understand that if we want to stay in a very, very difficult state, and if we think about it, if we eat greenery in our mind, if we eat more salads, if we eat vegetarian diet like Indian foods, roti, shag, dal, bhat, then our mind always stays very, very stable and pure. Our mind is always wrapped around the food we eat. That is the invisible factor. No one realizes. Sometimes we feel that, why do I have such kind of mood swings? Why do I get depression? Why do I always get, why is my mind always upset? Why is my mind always bothering me? Well, it is all due to the khorak or diet we intake in our body. If you want your mind to stay stable, if you want your mind to stay concentrated on bhagwan, concentrated on satsang related activities, then one must divert to eating more of that satvic food. But remember, one X factor is, if you serve it to bhagwan, and if it's homemade, and if you eat the food in a very limited portion, then you will still be able to remain in that satvic mood. So it is not that only if you do this, then this will happen. There are some, you have to read between the lines to figure out some of these X factors. But what are the destructive consequences? Loss of interest, mood, more sleep, goal is lost, health is lost, laziness occurs, failure and concentration breaks. This is all due to eating tamas and rajas foods. So as devotees of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, as citizens of the United States or any country, one should always understand that if one wants one's mind to stay stable and concentrated, may it be in school, may it be in work, or may it be in the spiritual life, one must control one's diet in quantity and in quality. That is the only way one's mind will be able to stay stable. So this is our knowledge regarding how we can keep our mind stable by eating such kind of foods which are pure over which are impure, and this way we can easily worship Bhagwan. This way we can easily do our job and still stay fresh in life, and this way we can concentrate on our academics and get good grades. Saying this, my humble Jai Swaminarayan.